Hello, this is Ken Ugert with the West Virginia Department of Education. It's a nice, warm, and rainy day outside, though, so I thought I would make a video. Someone has requested how to do the summary graphics. Summary graphics are just a single graphic with a bunch of data from different controllers, different points on it. Typically, they are it's the same types of units. Like this one, and what you see here is a VAV system. Um, I got it grouped by, this is under RTU1 A1, and these are all the VAVs that are associated with that, and RTU A2, and all its associated VAV boxes. So you can see at a glance how things are progressing as a whole with a set of equipment. If you had groups of constant volume rooftop units and you had a bunch of those, you could do these the same way. If you had unit ventilators or anything that you have multiples of that are very similar in their layout and IO count, this works well. If you have a variety of types of equipment, then some information is not really relevant on each in each column, so it doesn't always work so well. As you can see in this, we are at this school. Here are our room numbers. I put a header here. I do not put units on these values because it takes up so much room. I put the units in the header. So that's a way to save time and space. I usually try to keep my inputs a single color, my numerics a same color, the physical outputs a color, and my set points a different color. You can choose whatever you like, or just have them all the same color. It's all up to you. But that's how I do it. So in this instance, what you can see is that all the set points are the same. You can see that we are above set point, and that is because the chillers at this site is off or has failed. Typically, these are within a tenth or two of each other, which is good. On a VAV box system, you can really tell, this is really helpful because you can, at a glance, see which of the boxes are not meeting airflow. So you got the set point, then you got the actual airflow for each one of them. So you can kind of compare those. If you want to, you can create a numeric or a value that calculates at a glance how far these things are off. So it's just a percentage of what the error is between those two. And at a glance, instead of looking at all these numbers, you can look at these ones you've created, and you can tell that this one's way off. It's way under flow. It wants 920 CFM. It's only getting 477. The rest of them are pretty dead on for a VAV system. So, but I also know that that one stars for air, and I'll put that note out for the school to understand that. It also lets you see at a glance all your CO2 readings. We have some failed CO2 sensors here and some that need calibrated. So at a glance, you see all this information. So I had a request to, how do I do that? How do I make this? Well, it can be very labor intensive. You can create this and label each one of these individually. As you can see, that would be a lot of time. So I'll show you how to do it more quickly. None of these are drastically quick. So what I would do, I would go to the Explorer mode. And I would find somewhere to put this graphic. I usually put it in the net controller. You can put it on a workstation or wherever you want to. But in the graphics folder, create a new graphic. We'll create one. And then you got to configure your page. You can, as you remember, go to your configuration, do a right click on your mouse in the white area. Then you can name this if you want to. It doesn't have to be. This is the name that you just assigned it. You want the scroll bars. Scroll bars come in handy if you are looking at these from a iPad or a phone. That way you can scroll. If you choose not to do scroll bars, that eliminates that ability. And if you got a graphic that doesn't allow you to scroll with your iPad or iPhone, come here under configuration and check that box, and that will then allow you to scroll on that graphic, that's a good handy feature. So to make this graphic page bigger to fit our page, we want the width to be 20. Apply. So that makes it full width. So we got the whole value of our screen now that we can use. We can change the background color if we want to. Configuration, canvas, we can change the color to something different. Okay, so here is your blank canvas. What I would do is first of all, I would add some of these toolbars. These toolbars are pretty handy. Alignment is a good one. I don't know why they don't make it so you can check 2 or 3 of these at a time, but you got to do them individually. Layout, view toolbars, and drawing. There we go. So for text, like in the headers, you can just go to text and create text, and you can make that say whatever you want to, and you can create multiples of those. Edit the text, and if you like that, you can copy that, then you can paste it multiple times. So that is text that you can see, that you can create, and it has no values associated with this. Is just what this column is going to represent, I guess. I would suggest for the values to go to another graphic. Let's say we're going to start with an existing graphic. Let's go to room 159. Well, see, I don't have those assigned yet. Let's go back. Let's go to this room 165. 165. So here we are at a graphic. And this is the information that would be on each of the pieces of equipment that you are going to want to put on a summary page. So what you would do, you would come up here to the graphics design mode, click that. Then check with your control key pushed down and left click on your mouse the points that you want to have. I want this one, I want this one, I want that one, I want that one, I want this one, I want that text, I want that text, I want that text. You can create text in the other one, but sometimes it's easier just to take what they have. So take these things, things that you want to see on your other graphic. So anyway, select them. Might be on the first one you will want all the text. So then you would copy it. Then on the page that you had made set up, it's still up if you haven't closed it. Paste those values. Do a right click on your mouse and paste those. So there they are. Now arrange these things in a column. And however you want them, you can format all this stuff when you're done, or initially, we'll say that. So just move these kind of up here in a line. Some of these other things you can line up. Put them in an order that makes sense. Put the room set point and the room temperature together. Put the airflow set point and the airflow together. Put the things that associates with the other values in a kind of a order that, left to right, how you would read a book. Here's how, is the fan on? Is it occupied? Is it set? Is the room temperature okay? And all that. That is a better way to do that. So you got this mess here, okay? And in one of the other videos, I did show you some of these little tricks, but we'll go through it again. Say you want all these things lined up. I would line all these things up by clicking, these will be my header. So with your shift key down and right click with the mouse, highlight all those. The last one you align that to, which was the space temperature in this one, go up here to the alignment. I want these to be aligned in the middle. Click that and it aligns them to the middle. Another thing you can do is you can equally, we can equally space those. We can make these the same value, the same width. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't work so well. But then we can make these space across equally. What that's going to do is spread these out equally spaced. And you're going to do this several times as you design this. So I want this here, and I want this here, and I want that there, I want that there. And you can see that some of these boxes are bigger or smaller than the others. So it helps if they're all the same. So highlight all those. And this box, these line, can you see it? These two will say this makes it the same height, this makes it the same width, this makes it the same size all over. So it will size all of these according to the one that was last selected, and in this case it was space temperature. Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the other one. But anyway, you can size those appropriately. And you can align them again. Come on. Well, align them like that. And you can make those equally spaced apart. So that's how you kind of create the very first one. To add a button that would take you to a graphic. Now I'll show you that. Go to let's see. Click off that. Activate. Insert a button. So this button's going to do something. If you have one on another graphic, go back to this other graphic and see, do we have one? So we have buttons up here. You could do the same thing. You could copy that one. Right click, copy. Go back to this other graphic and you can paste that. Same thing. Okay. But you have to edit what this one's going to do. So this is how you get started. You line all that stuff up, put all the values on there that you want. One thing I'll show you how it works pretty good is I draw a line just somewhere here, vertical straight line. I'll show that'll be I'll show you why here in a little bit. We'll get rid of this just for giggles. And we don't need these for now. We're just trying to figure out how this works. All right. So here you have all the information on this specific unit. If you did a run, this is hot water valve 165, room 165. Well, that one didn't come up. I don't know why. We'll get rid of that one. We'll move all this over. I don't want to get too complicated. So anyway, this is all associated with VAV 165. So what we're going to do is 165, right? Room 165, that's what we're going to do. All right, room 165. What we're going to do now is go to room 165. It doesn't matter which one you go to, it's just start somewhere. So this is room 165. And I'm going to create a graphic. A new graphic. I'm going to call it test. So here we got a new graphic. Configuration will make it We don't really care. I just want it wide. We'll make it 20 inches wide. All right, so I got, this is room 165, and the reason I chose that is because this is the graphic that I chose it from. All these are representative of room 165. So now, if I copy all of this from here, copy that, and go to my room 165 test graphic, Control V, this is the same information. Now if I save that, all that information should come up, and that's what's going to show on your picture. Now this is a good opportunity before you start doing anything else, is if you choose, and it's a good thing, on this point here, do you want to see if it's overridden or not? As I showed you on some of the other videos, if you choose this object state here, I'm not sure what color that is, but it doesn't really matter what the color of the text is. Say you want it in normal colors, I want it to be this color. If it's overridden, I want it to be red. Okay. So do each of those at this point, because if you don't do it now and you want it later, you're going to have to do all these points times however many pieces of equipment you got. So now it is easier to do it now than later. It's also easier to make these the shape or the color that you want it to be. You can go to display properties and you can make if you want the fill to be different, if you want it to be yellow, however you want to change those, now's the time to do it, because you're going to replicate these a bunch. So after you replicate these and you want to change them, it's a whole lot more work. So do all your upfront stuff here and make sure it all works here. Okay, so once you're done setting all that up, save that. This is in room 165. Now the cool thing with this program is I can close this out now. Close test. Now I can go back to my Explorer mode. Go back to room 165. Go to graphics. Here's the graphic that I just created, test. All right. If I copy this graphic to any other graphic, any other controller, it's going to take and change all of its associated points that are associated with room 165 to the name of the new controller. If I copy this graphic here and I move it to room 159, it will now, room 159 will have a graphic in there. It's called test. Same as what the room 165 was. All right. If you open up room 159, see, it's room 159. Now all these points are associated with room 159. This one's not. Room 159 must not have a hot water valve. If there's a point, that is, how this works is the points that are copied have to be spelled the same way in each controller. The hot water valve in this one is spelled hot water valve, HWVALVE. If it's spelled differently when I copy it, it's not going to know what it is. Well, there it came. It was just slow. So now all of these are associated with the one that I just copied it to. This one's not, because it's not an actual point. So here's the trick. You can close this, go back to your Explorer, copy that graphic from your original graphic or whichever graphic to the ones that you want to make a summary for. So I'll copy to 160, mine, 161, 164. That'll be enough. So there we go. Quickly and easy, we have duplicated that graphic 4 or 5 times. All right. So how's that help you? So now, if I go back to this test under stop, the first controller, I'll open it up. I have dogs, so you have to forgive them. One's hoarse, one's impatient. So now, what we will do is go to design mode. On the very first one, if you got the header correct, copy all those. Go make a box with your mouse, with your right key. It'll highlight them. Now copy these. Do right click and copy. If you know your keyboard, it's Control C. It's going to make things easier for you. Now go back to your summary text, summary graphic. Come here, put your mouse somewhere in the graphic and paste that. Paste that here. So there you got. Now we have 165 and room 159 there, or whatever that room was. So here's where that button comes in. Here's where this line comes in. You can line these horizontally or vertically very easily, but you can't do a group of them very easily. So with your arrows, move that to where you want that to go. I choose horizontally to make those arrows the same. That's why I do that. Now, in this case, I can get rid of this text. We can delete all that. So now they're at least horizontally, it's the same. Now if I go to another controller, 160, and I open up that graphic and edit that graphic, let's just take the numbers. We don't need the text this time. Don't need that. I'm going to deselect those, but I do want that bar. I'm going to Control C. That copies it. Or you can do the right click on the mouse. Come here to this, go back to the summary graphic. I usually put my arrow close to where I want that top button to be. It doesn't always work. You can push Control V, or you can push right click on the mouse and push paste. Control V is quicker. Move that up to where you possibly want it. Align the arrows, line the lines up, and there you are. Now, let's see, go back to another one, go to Explore, go to 161. What do I do? Go to room 161, again, open the test, edit the test, select these things, deselect those, copy them, Control C, go back to test, Control V. Move them up to where you want, basically. Make the arrows line up, or the lines line up, and there you go. Now, you're just kind of eyeballing the vertical spacing. And if that's okay with you, that's fine, but I like them to be pretty close to right, accurate. I would, once you're done putting all these in here, highlight one of them, one column, and come up here and do a equally spaced down. That'll move them just slightly. That'll move them to equally spaced. Then you would have to align this group with that. As you know, as you remember, whatever you select last, it gets aligned to. So do that, do it align to the middle, and that makes that all aligned to the middle. Do the next one. It's all your preference if you choose to do that. It looks better in the end if you're doing it for a customer. So align those to this. Align that. Align that to that. And there you go. They're all set. Now if you run that, you have all of these that are of different, for different units. This one is 165 room position. This is 159 damper position. That's 160. That's 161. So if you want these in any particular order, you're going to have to copy and paste these in that order. Or you can jumble them up here if you want to, but it takes a little more time. But it's easier to put them in which logical order that you want. Now to make the buttons work, go back to the design mode. Double click the design mode. What we're going to do here is we're going to open the graphic of this unit. I want it to open a panel. Which panel do I want it to open? You're going to have to find that panel that it's associated with. 1A. Now, to change what the text is, you go to Display Properties. Change that to VAV 165. So you do that for each one of those. If I click that, it would go to that value, go back to that screen now. Once you're done, you can delete these bars, these lines, kind of straightens it up a little bit. But basically, that's how that works. So, you know, you align you can be as creative as you like, but that is the basic how that works. Now, if you want other buttons on other values from other screens, easy ways to do that, I guess, just to show you, is you can let's copy this, control C or copy. So now I can make any point on my whole system appear here. I can double click on it. It's going to tell me that this is currently what it's assigned to. If that's not what you want, click that drop down button, navigate to the point that you want it to be. This is currently a numeric point. This is not a backnet system. Navigate up, go up in your folders. Say I want the chilled water temperature to be on here. If you know where that point is, I know it's on the chiller controller. It's not a numeric. I know that it is a input. Change that to input. Then I'll change this to chill water supply and say OK. So you can have any point from any controller on any graphic. Make that run. So now this represents the chill water supply for that graphic. So as you can see, I mean, this is just a simple one, but it has the same premise as the others. But if we go back to the one I created, here's something. I mean, there's just some things you can do that make it easier. I have not assigned these yet, but that's something to be done. But this is a point that's linked to the rooftop unit that covers these. This covers this group. You can go back to the home page. You can go to different graphics with the buttons. You can go to the next areas. You can put information about unrelated equipment on this. Well, it's not unrelated, but it's not a VAV box. But that is how you do that in a nutshell. I hope that helps. You can then, once you're done with all those, let's see. Let's run that one. Once you've done, you can delete those. It doesn't matter. You can delete the test graphics. You can delete those. You need to just say hey. Make sure you delete the right ones. It wants to make sure you're okay with deleting things. That just kind of cleans up what you've done. I'll close pinpoint, didn't I? So anyway, that is how that works. And when it comes up, let's go back to graphics just a second. When it comes up, it is slow. I don't know how many points you're limited to. I haven't got to that number yet. but it does come up slowly. You can see that it comes up slowly. So don't expect instantaneous information. And if you got points that bounce on or bounce off, you may miss it if it just, if it's on for 2 or 3 seconds and goes off. You may not see it on this graphic because it only polls it so many seconds. So if you have any questions, let me know. But that's how I do that. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks.